What's going on, guys? Today I'm here to talk about Billie Eilish, and she has recently been in the news for some statements she's made about eating meat and how if you care about animals, you wouldn't actually eat meat and you would go vegan, I guess. I don't even know if vegetarian would have been an acceptable option as opposed to eating meat. But she's been getting a lot of flack for this. And I just want to take it as an opportunity to talk about the downfall of any celebrity really trying to preach morals to, their audience or the masses. And I don't even want to say you can't have your opinions on these things. Like, I think if Billie Eilish feels that being a vegan or whatever she does would genuinely have a positive impact on animals and the environment and all of the things that would be involved with it, she should do that. The problem comes when you get on camera and you're preaching, like, you're basically, preaching how much better you are as opposed to basically everyone watching that video. Like, how many vegans are really watching, Billie Eilish? Maybe if you're a Billie Eilish fan, actually, maybe there is a higher chance you are vegan. So maybe I shouldn't discount that. But for the most part, everyone's eating meat still. And, everyone just brings up the immediate point of like, yeah, like most people can't really afford to have too much choosiness when it comes to eating, and especially if you're looking at it from a nutrition standpoint. Like, you have to eat meat, kind of. Like, I think there are some people that do go vegan and don't try to assess what they're eating. Essentially, they just eat vegan stuff, and you can have a successful, I feel like, nutritional vegan diet, but you have to go out of your way to make sure you're including those nutritional foods that replace the meat that you were eating. So, it's definitely not, you can't just switch it on and off. Like, some people straight up wouldn't be able to afford being a vegan just because the high price of substitutes and stuff. And not to mention, I don't know, like, I feel like people don't really give enough credit to just like probably the amount of food problems that, I mean, we currently have, but we would definitely have if people weren't eating meat. Like, the amount of people that we wouldn't be able to feed, I'm assuming, at least not with today's infrastructure. And you could argue further that then we need to change the infrastructure. Okay. But it just gets back to the original point of like, why are you preaching to, just regular people about how being a meat eater is just terrible and you don't care about animals, you're a bad person? And this isn't the only thing she's done this with. I mean, it's Billie Eilish. I'm sure you guys are know. Capitalism is bad, eat the rich, like all that type of stuff. And again, I don't want to say don't have those opinions, but when you're saying it from the position of a Billie Eilish who has how much money at her disposal, like, you are always going to be the wrong messenger because, you point out how much money she has and then she'll be like, but it's like the billionaires, that's the problem. And it's just like, I mean, maybe, but from most people's perspectives, that might as well be you. Like, the gap between the regular person and you feels much bigger than the gap between you and a billionaire. And whether or not that's even true, it's probably not. $1 billion is a lot of fucking money, but that's just how it feels to the average person. I also want to say, yeah, I mean, from the little I've seen of Billie Eilish, she seems to be a very annoying person, a very preachy person. So maybe some of my opinions and views have a little bit of bias just because I'm not her biggest fan personally. I think she does this type of stuff all the time. And again, I don't think you shouldn't feel this way potentially, but to just preach it to I don't know, it feels like a very, very virtue signaling because then people also will point out, apparently she has makeup collaborations with brands that do animal testing. Like, and again, it's just like, no one would fault her for that if she wasn't going out of her way to crap on people who eat meat and that they're actually terrible for animals. But I think that this is a larger problem with a good amount of celebrities. Like, if you decide to make this, like, your platform, like one that you want to talk about issues and bring up, which inherently I don't think is necessarily bad, but I just definitely think the execution and the way you go about it will definitely have more people supporting you in that cause than potentially what Billie Eilish has. Like the way she goes about it, where she's like crapping on people who eat meat, like I don't think that's winning you too many people over onto your side. Like if you tried doing it maybe from like a more like, well, this is how I feel, I think it's a great way to, try to educate people on the realities of this stuff. Not being like, well, if you eat meat, then you actually don't care about animals and there's no other way around that. Like, all right, well, now you're just making anyone who may have switched over, like now you're making them feel like a bad person. Why would they want to? Now they're going to have to think of the reasons on why they actually are going to stick with their position, because that's just human nature. You never want to be on the wrong side of things, so you're going to try to justify slash like, prove your point on why what you're doing isn't bad, or at the very least why it's like why you're not a bad person because of it. And I think that's the thing is like why do you have to be a bad person? It's like you were born into this world, like the world eats me, like, you know what I mean? Like that machine is already in place. And just so many times where it's just like, you know what? Is this really the hill you need to die on right now? Like, is this the message in this specific way, what you need to deliver? Like, because Billie Eilish, I think, does make good music. She's one of the artists where I don't like her. Like, she is so annoying to me whenever I see those things. And maybe I'm not even giving her enough benefit of the doubt, and like those things are taken wildly out of context. But I'm at the point where it's like I don't even want to go look at the unedited clip, because something tells me that this many times of you saying things like this, or she's definitely said other things, like oh, men are all disgusting. It's like, I mean, they are, but it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of corny to have that kind of pure hatred towards one gender, whether it be men hating women or women hating men. To me, that's corny behavior, and you fall right in line in that, because I'm sure if you called her out, she'd be like, well, it's not all men, and if you're not one of the men, then why do you have a problem? It's just like, well, I'm still a man, and that like it still is a little upsetting to hear you paint the entire gender with such a broad stroke. I mean, if like, again, and I hate to be, well, if you did that to women, but it is true. It's like if you said something about that about women, you hate women. But like in her mind, I guess it's like not bad to hate men, so it's like a whatever thing. But again, this is just like, one of many things. She does this all the time personally. And then like look at someone like MIA, who just got kicked off Kid Cudi's tour, where it's like if you're a musical artist or any other type of like entertainment celebrity, it's just like I don't think most people really want to hear your opinions on these things. Who are you, first off? Second off, if you are someone like a Billie Eilish, or at least someone of, great wealth, it's just like you're not even a real person anymore. And I don't want to say that in a bad way, but that's just an inherent truth. If you have that much money, if you're living that type of lifestyle, you can't relate to the everyday person. It's impossible. And I wouldn't expect you to. Your lifestyle is just different, and that's just kind of how it works. But to get up here and preach to these people and like tell them what they're doing wrong, it's just like, okay, you do not get it then. Like, especially right now, today's economy, where I mean everything costs near double. I mean, grocery, whatever it might be, everything's through the roof. And now you're gonna come tell them, well, actually, not only are you kind of barely surviving, but you're a bad person the way you decide to do it. Like, okay, that's not really helping anything. Again, I think she could have gone about this in a much just friendlier way, of maybe like from an educational standpoint. Like, I don't think people know the realities, but and even that though, I think people really do know the realities. I mean, how many food documentaries have dropped? I think the problem is just like what can the regular person, especially without the means to do so, really change in their life to stop? Like, these machines are in place, I don't want to say for a reason, because I think everything can always be better, but like I do think it somewhat is tied into the population we have, and just the what is needed to produce food for that many people. Like you need something in place, and fortunately this factory farming is kind of, I guess, what they came up with. Again, you shouldn't settle for that necessarily, but I do think that like she's not looking at the greater picture. And I don't even want to keep talking about this issue necessarily, but it's just like, what are you doing right now? Do you really think this is like the point/hill to die on, that everyone else is really such a bad person that you had to come and say this? I don't think it is. And I think in general, like, you're just painting yourself or setting yourself up to like be a hypocrite in this situation, because like that's all I'm seeing right now is like, oh, I thought you were anti-capitalist, you're making this. I thought you were anti meat, but you're doing that. Like you're just setting yourself up to look like an idiot, because you're not going to be perfect all the time, and the way you come off in these videos or these statements, it sounds like you are perfect all the time and everyone else is actually the problem. But let me know what you guys think. Is this just the inner Billie Eilish hater in me, like, painting this narrative? I try to be as objective as I could. I don't really like her as a person. I think she makes some good music. A couple of her songs I like. I don't really go out of my way to listen to her because I don't really like her as a person. But maybe you guys could educate me, and maybe you can even make a Billie Eilish fan out of me. Who knows? But either way, thank you for listening. I appreciate you if you did. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch you later. Peace.